so coming over the mountain, I noticed pulling this camper with this truck. It did fine. It did start getting a little warm, but not like pull over and let it cool down warm, but warmer than I've ever even seen the Honda get. And it wasn't peppy at all. That Honda can pull that camper over the mountain and not even bat an eye. So, two issues. By putting the bigger tires on here, I have changed my axle ratio to basically about 3.83. So it was a 4.1 with the factory tires of at 245/75s 16, and now I have 285/75 16, and so if my math is right, it's dropped it from a 4.1 to the equivalent of a 3.83. So not like a 3.72, I think it is. So a little better than that, but not as good as what it came from the factory because of the wheel size. They say that's about an 8% difference. I only add 6% to my mileage to calculate my gas, just because I wanted to be, it seemed like when I looked at a map and actually added up the miles that we went and what the odometer said, it looked like it was only about 6% off, not 8% off. But in any case, I'm not really sure how all these numbers play out, but if you got it basically changes your shift points. And the tow haul button doesn't work on this thing. So what I'm doing today is I'm doing the standard tow haul button fix, which hopefully it is what everybody else has said it is, and it's just a severed wire. And we're going to see how this thing goes when we go back over the mountain with that tow haul. Because with the bigger tires, without the tow haul, it did it, but I'm only pulling, 3,800 pounds as far as the camper is concerned. And it was somewhat gutless. So something to keep in mind. We have to take this off. Looks like you can just take it off with your hands. So it just literally comes out, but your steering wheel has to be down and your shift lever has to be down, like so. Then put your steering wheel all the way up. Then pull this out. I need to take this parking brake release handle off, and it's just a 10 millimeter right there. Next, I have to take all this off. And so it's a 7 millimeter, and I'm gonna have to take my brake controller off because it's fastened right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that off. There's one right here, and one right there, somewhere, right there. Anyway, there's 2 or 3 under there, and you'll have to take those off so that we can pull down that whole bottom panel. Put the shift lever up, and this just comes off. I don't see any screws in this, so it just pops off. So all my screws are missing. I didn't have to buy a torque set. This just comes off like so. Let's see what's involved in getting this old boot that's falling apart. So we're gonna have to take this lever off. Now, my wire, is my wire cut? Dude, my wire's not cut. My wire's fine. Oh, wait. I guess it is, right there. It is cut. It's underneath this little thing. It's not long enough. It's like they give it just enough to stretch and break. That is dumb. Alright, so we got to get this off. What's involved in getting this off? Feels like there's a Torx on top. I'm going to grab this little guy and stick it back in. Not all the way though. Bring the wheel back down. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah, right there. That is a T27 right here. All right, yeah, I just pulled right out. Definitely broke. It wasn't even connected. So, yeah, Now I'm going to pull all this old boot off. I've got a new one here. Hopefully it's the right part. And you know what? While I got this off, is that filth? I'm going to go in and try to get all this filth cleaned off this stick. Yeah, that's pretty gross. I'm going to go get that cleaned first. Okay, so this is an example. I get a kick out of forums. Well, if the engineers know what they're doing. No, engineers don't always know what they're doing. It's just like software development or anything. A lot of this is we learn as we go. What might look like a good idea at the time actually isn't. Now, I get why they did this. They wanted to be all tidy and nice and keep this wire out of the way, but they should have maybe used something that was a little bit more flexible, perhaps, but also they didn't give it any leeway, so it was just... it was always flexing right there. This wire is very, very stiff, as you can see, and they had it bent here and there. So what I'm going to do is, this has got enough clearance. There's no reason to have this that tight. I'm going to stick this lever in, and you can see, bring it down, it doesn't hit anything. But see all that, it pulls it tight. It's even pulling that tight. That's just not, that's not good. And then you got this that was flexing from the shift lever. So I'm gonna bust this little clip off here because I can't get this wire out of it, but I just want it to hang free. There's no reason not to just let it hang free, and I think it's gonna last longer than having it all tied up like this. All right, I'm gonna just push that off with the chisel and just get it out of there. I can't push this wire through. I don't know if that's like, I don't know what they did, but it's not, that wire is not sliding through there. So I'm gonna just pop it right off. And this is really kind of flimsy wire, so I'm working with what I got. I twisted it on here really well, so they're really wrapped around each other really good. And now I'm gonna just solder each one of these and cover them really good with solder so they stay. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. Probably tape this up and then run this wire back down. I don't want it to move around because it's going to be a weak spot. Well, we'll figure it out. Let me get this soldered up. Okay, I know it's not pretty. I got terrible vision and I got shaky hands, so I do the best I can. Actually, I'm going to try to get that little glob off the end of there. But I went in and tinned it all the way around here, if that's the right term. Alright, I got these taped pretty good, and then I'm going to go ahead and reinforce. These are never going to hit each other, or shouldn't. And if they do, the worst case that happens is I'm stuck in tow haul mode. But what I'm going to do now is even reinforce it a little bit more and tape all this together so it can't move. Alright, I'm not saying my handiwork is very good, but that's not going nowhere. So now I'm going to take the extension cord out to the truck and wire into the other. Hopefully that's a long enough piece of wire. I'm doing this all over. That's the only piece of wire I could find. I guess I should have been a little more prepared before starting this, but you know. Alright, so before I soldered that down, I just wanted to test it before I bolt everything in place. Here we go. It works. Now I gotta just put it all back together. I gotta saw those wires. Let's look at the motion here. Let's turn this off. Look at this. This used to be fastened right up there to that, and then fastened back down to that. Literally, it was up there, so it would have been stuck all the way up there, bent more than 90 degrees, back down to here, and then down. Can you see that? That's why it would bust. Alright, ignore all the dinging. I just went ahead and put a zip tie right here. I think that's going to be fine. It may wear out eventually, but I wanted to kind of keep this angle controlled so it's not bending as abruptly, but allow, in other words, it's some kind of guidance. It doesn't seem to make that bend a whole lot there. You do have some bend there, but I mean, the way it's designed is you're going to have some bend no matter what. But I don't know how long these lasted before they broke. And we know what breaks on everybody's, because it's a terrible design. One fella actually just made a switch that bypassed that and didn't even have it on the shift lever. If this doesn't work, that's what I'll do next, because it's stupid. You're gonna have constant movement. I think that gives plenty of freedom there, keeps the wires out of the way, not a whole lot of flex. Maybe it'll last several 100,000 miles, we'll see. So this bottom piece has proven to be a pain to put back in. See this little notch right here? Okay, when you put it up, it catches. See that little pin dead center right there? Right there. Getting this all lined up is kind of a pain. Make sure not to break these little guys off. All these things need to line up, and they bend really easy. I could see this busting. That was bent over really easy, so just be aware. Trying to get all this lined up is a pain. I'm really annoyed. I ordered a boot from GM. This boot I cut up trying to make it work. It's crap. It's too stiff, but that's not the real issue. This is a no-frills truck. I mean, it has no features on it whatsoever. Everything is, you know, crank, no power locks, crank windows. This is a plain Jane truck. So I didn't think the tilt steering wheel was a feature that you'd pay extra for. I figured it was an add-on. And when I ordered the part off Amazon, I didn't even think about it because it just said, you know, GMC 2001 through 2006, yada, 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 fits all these cars. It doesn't fit. And when it doesn't fit, yeah, it doesn't fit. So when I called GMC, one of the questions they asked, does it have tilt steering? Maybe that's why it doesn't fit. I don't know. I went ahead and also got the size for the screws that are missing. He said they were 5M by 0.8 and 15 millimeters long. I'm going to just go regular screws because the torque screws they want to put in here that were missing, no wonder the last person didn't put them in. They want $10 a piece. I'm not paying that. All right, so my truck is now all apart and not drivable until tomorrow when the part comes in for the steering column. All right, it's back together. This boot directly from GMC is the exact same size as the one I got from Amazon, except the rubber is a lot softer. It still kind of stretches it to its limit. As you can see, as it shifts, it slides this whole thing, but it's a lot better. Now, I wouldn't advise this, but I didn't want to resolder all my wires. So I just put some soap on this and just slid the thing all the way over this. I just wanted to be done with this rather than unsolder my wire and resolder it and all that garbage. But it did stretch it a little bit. You can see this is not quite as tight. It may, you can still see a little bit of the soap on it. It may relax and get tight again, but for the most part, it does stay in its little slot. So you can do that. You can just make this really slick and pull that whole boot over it if you've ended up in the same situation as me, but it does stretch it out a little bit. But it still pretty much stays where it needs to stay. So I'm not sure if I'd recommend that as a lazy man solution or not, but it's good enough for me. Ideally, I would have had the right boot before soldering all the wires together.